Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Because we've known the Packers' opponents for months. It was right after the season. All right, we knew it. It's a yearly rotation. You know it's always going to be the division teams and such, and then you get a couple of different teams in there. So we knew since January who the opponents were going to be and whether they were going to be home or away. Because we knew the NFC North was matched with the NFC East and the AFC North. And since the Packers finished third in the NFC North, we knew that they would face the third-place teams in the NFC South, the NFC West, and, for this year, the AFC West. So, your home opponents outside of your division teams, Philly, Washington, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Carolina. I think if you are a season ticket holder, those are some really good games to go to. I think you're just kind of salivating at this and looking like, oh, dang. You know, outside the division games, you're going to see Philly. You're going to see Jayden Daniels and the Commanders. You're going to see Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. You're going to see Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Baltimore. And then Carolina is probably, I don't want to assume, but probably the weakest of those matchups. But, I mean, you get a Bryce Young who played better in the second half after getting benched. Played better. I think there's renewed optimism about his career over there. So, overall, I mean, that's a very, very good home slate for season ticket holders. But also, as just general fans, too, it's like, dang, that's a tough home schedule. You got some really good teams coming over to Lambeau. You're probably thinking, thank gosh it's at Lambeau. Your road games, again, outside the division, it's Dallas, it's the Giants, it's the Browns, it's the Steelers, it's the Broncos, and the Cardinals. So, I mean, Pittsburgh, we'll see what happens with their quarterback situation. Denver was a playoff team last year. I think they're making strides. We'll see with Arizona if they had some good moments last year, too. Who the heck knows what's going on in Cleveland? Could it be Shedeur Sanders they're going up against or whoever the heck the quarterback's going to be? I have no idea. But I think you look at that home schedule and like, dang, that's a good one. That's a good one. It is a good one. So when it comes to the NFL schedule, there's certain things I look at. There's primetime games. Now I've accepted the fate. We're going to probably get our max of primetime games for Green Bay. It's a double-edged sword. I hate the late games. I used to love them at college. I used to get upset at college whenever we didn't get a ton because it was just an excuse probably to party with the roommates for a football game. Now, with early wake-up calls and that, give me all the noon games, man. Just give me all the noon games. But I've accepted it. It's double-edged sword, too, because you're going to get more primetime games if you're a pretty good team or if you're a solid team, if you're a playoff-caliber team. So, at least in this instance, we know Green Bay is a playoff-caliber team, a solid team. They're going to get, and they're always a draw, too, because they are the Packers. So, we're going to get the max or very close to the max of primetime games. I've accepted that. I'm willing to move on from that. Still going to look at when they are and such and which ones are on NBC, which ones are on ESPN, and because I think that factors into it now, too, with all the different streaming services. For a lot of people, you're probably thinking, okay, am I going to be able to watch that game? Or do I got to go somewhere? Or do I got to sign up for a free trial for a week just to watch that game? Or maybe you've used up your free trial and like, dang, I got to sign up for a month now to watch one game because it's on a particular streaming platform. Okay? That's kind of the different wrinkle in the last few years with everything, with all the streaming services now. It's like, it's a factor for me now because it's like, okay, do I got to pay for a month of this certain streaming package just to watch that one game? That's a factor now. It's the current times that we live in. And yes, I am one of them that I will pay to watch it because I got to watch it. I have to. I got to watch it. I'm not going to go anywhere to watch it because Well, I should say I'm not going to go anywhere to watch it, but, by the time you maybe, pay for some, if you go out to eat and watch it and all that, it might be cheaper just stay home at that point in time. But I think that is a factor now when you look at all that, if it fits in your streaming package or not. And if it doesn't, then you got a decision to make. I look at the bye week, of course. Everybody looks at the bye week. Is it going to be close to the halfway mark? Is it going to be an early one? Is it going to be a late one? Everybody pays attention to the bye week. One for me that I've looked at for years upon years upon years upon years. Where does that Sunday or that game before Thanksgiving line up? Because that game before Thanksgiving is what? Opening of rifle season. Opening of deer rifle season. Am I going to get lucky where maybe it's a Monday night game? That would be like one where I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't mind it because, well, I might because I'm just going to be exhausted after hunting, but who knows. One year, a couple years ago, they played the Thursday before the opener, which was awesome. It was, yes, a primetime game. It was a late night, and, but then I didn't have to worry about trying to catch it, watch it in my deer stand on a Sunday or anything like that. That was the best. Or maybe they have a late buy that happens to be that weekend too. That would be perfect. But I that's one thing I personally always look at because it's like, okay, here's my game plan then for hunting. Of course, the division teams, where those line up in that. But here are my top five. Here are my top five games that particular games that I am looking for, curious to see. And I guess, to backtrack here a little bit too, international games are part of the equation now here too. And for the longest time, it seemed like it was going to be Packers, Steelers, and Ireland. That has changed. That narrative has changed. Now it feels like an international game is unlikely. And I think it all has to do with the fact that Aaron Rodgers is possibly, likely, probably going to play for the Steelers. Because I mean, there's no way, I guess never say never, but unlikely they would have Rodgers playing against the Packers across the pond. But that is another factor now, too, when you look at schedule releases. Anyways, let's get to my top five. My top five games that I am really intrigued about where they line up on the schedule release, the full schedule getting released on Wednesday. Maybe we'll get a Packers game announced as part of these early announcements in the next couple days, but the full schedule will be released on Wednesday. Number one, I'm lumping them all together. It's cheating. I know it's cheating, but the division is so dang good this year that it's hard to just kind of pick one. But I'm lumping them all together. Number one, when all the division games line up, particularly where Detroit, Minnesota come to Green Bay, and when Green Bay goes to Chicago. I'd prefer Green Bay to go to Chicago earlier in the season. Then you don't have to maybe deal so much with that cold lake effect wind and such. But yes, it's cheating. I'm lumping all the division games and when they play, where they play at certain points in the calendar. Specifically, again, when those dome teams, Minnesota and Detroit, come to Green Bay. Is it going to be early in the season, which I think will frustrate a lot of Packers fans, or could it be later in the season? That's number one. Number two, it's the Steelers. And it's straight up with the fact that Aaron Rodgers potentially, possibly, could be, likely, maybe playing quarterback for them. Otherwise, it's probably not on here. But, I mean, come on. If Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback for the Steelers this year, Steelers play the Packers. It's in Pittsburgh, so it's not a return to Lambeau. But, I mean, Rodgers going up against his former team, of course that's going to be a top team or a top game. And, again, I feel like that was – I feel like the NFL wanted to put the Steelers and the Packers in Ireland. But with the whole Aaron Rodgers dynamic about him potentially playing for the Steelers and the Steelers playing the Packers this year, I think that changed the plans. I mean, the latest rumor is it's going to be Minnesota and the Steelers playing in Ireland. I would be shocked if it's not even if Aaron doesn't announce anything in the next couple of days, I'd be shocked if Packers-Steelers wasn't a marquee game, primetime game, or, America's game of the week on NFL, or the afternoon 3:30 kickoff on CBS, whatever the case may be. It's going to be a prime game. It's not going to be a noon game. It's not going to be a noon game. And they have the buffer, even if Aaron doesn't play for the Steelers this year, it's like, well, it's still Steelers-Packers. Iconic franchises. So that's my number 2. Number 3, 3 through 5 are all home games. And I think it directly relates to the very tough home schedule that Green Bay has. Number 3, Eagles. Home against the Eagles. Defending champs. When you look at, and you add in all the offseason stuff to this too, right? I mean, we got to add all that stuff in here. Last year they opened up in Brazil, close game. Jordan Love gets hurt at the end. Packers, their season ends in the playoffs against the Eagles, and I think you can make the argument, and it would be a good argument. The Packers played the Eagles better than any other playoff team. They had chances, but they kept shooting themselves in the foot and injuries. And the whole tush-push drama, if you want to add that into this thing. So, I mean, of course, that is going to be a game. Too, Eagles players, the Eagles are going to try to have so many opportunities in that game against Green Bay to try to do the tush-push. You know it. When we get to that game, we might have to set a line over-under how many tush-push attempts from Philly in that game. Because they're going to want to do it a boatload of times against Green Bay. So that's number 3. Number 4, Jane Daniels and the Commanders coming over to Green Bay. Commanders are going to get a ton of hype this year, and rightfully so, looking at the season they had last year. Then they acquired Deebo Samuel in the offseason to help out the offense. They're pushing chips in. And why wouldn't you, when you have a quarterback like Jane Daniels on that rookie deal entering his second year? Why wouldn't you? It'd be stupid not to. And this is going to be a tough opponent. But I'm looking at this, too, as like, what point in the season are we going to have this? Is it going to be early? Will it be a little bit later? I think that's a factor in this. But Jay Daniels and the Commanders they're going to be up there with the Eagles to be division champs in the NFC East this year. That has the makings of being a really, really, really good game. So that's why it's number 4 on my list. And then number 5, it's Baltimore. It's Lamar Jackson and the Ravens coming over. Derrick Henry coming over to Lambeau Field. And to me, this would almost be a game where I'd rather see earlier in the season. I know it's at Lambeau, and you factor in the weather and all that, but we know Baltimore likes to run the football too. And I don't think we talked about it a lot with A.J. Dillon when he was with Green Bay. I don't think anybody wants to try to tackle Derrick Henry in December if the temperatures are single digits at Lambeau Field, even if it's Green Bay defenders. Nobody wants to deal with that. And we know about Lamar Jackson's legs and his ability to run and use that. So teams want to be able to successfully run the football in cold weather. And we know Baltimore wants to run. I would almost prefer this game being a little bit earlier in the season. So we avoid that potentially. Either way, it's going to be a tough test, a huge test for this Packers defense and that run defense, going up against Derrick Henry and containing Lamar Jackson. So those are my top 5. 1, yes, I kind of cheated. I lumped the defensive games or the division games in there. But the division is going to be, it has the makings of being the best division in all of football this year. 2, Steelers. Completely operating under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Steelers. If he's not, take it out of the top 5. Eagles, with everything that transpired last year, the opener, the playoffs, the tush-push drama. 4, the Commanders and Jane Daniels. 5, the Ravens and Lamar and Derrick Henry. Those are my top 5 games that I'm really intrigued about to see where they line up on the schedule.